Hey, what's up guys? GQ back with Tech Creation, where I use technology for recreation. So I got to spend a good amount of time with the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and I have a lot to say about this phone. And for 1100 bucks, let's see if there's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow. So the S Pen is clearly what I ended up liking the most about this experience. This time around, we now get air gestures. So the S Pen features a 6-axis motion sensor that includes an accelerometer and a gyroscope to detect which direction you're waving your hand so it can trigger the appropriate gesture. Now, when you're using music apps like Spotify, gesturing left and right will help you skip your tracks, while gesturing up and down will help you toggle the volume. Now, keep in mind, when you're using apps like Spotify, when you're using your finger, if you swipe left, that would actually skip your tracks, but by default, the S Pen, when you gesture left, is actually set to go back one track. So you might get confused at first, but thankfully, Samsung lets us customize the air actions, so I just went ahead and reversed the left and right gestures altogether because it just feels more natural like that. Now, keep in mind, once you change those air gestures, it applies across all of the apps that use air gestures. So that's one minor drawback. I would have liked to see custom gestures on a per app basis. Also, a quick critique, sometimes I noticed that the motion sensor could get confused. It would confuse a gesture up with a gesture right, obviously depending how relaxed your wrist is and what degree you're swiping it. And the same holds true for a gesture right. On the way back from gesturing right, it would register that as a gesture left, if that makes sense. In both instances, it caused me to be a little more dramatic and intentional with my swipes. So it definitely does take a little bit of practice to find the nuance in the pen. And lastly, I would have liked to see the S Pen give us full system-wide control with air gestures. Like, imagine being able to pull down your notification shade and swipe away notifications, or navigate through menus and settings. I think that would have been real dope. Now onto Samsung Notes, where we see some improvements as well. This now lets you convert any of your sloppy off-screen notes that you took on the fly real quick into actual text. And it does this by using smart character detection, and it does support multiple languages, up to 4 different languages depending on which ones you choose. And you have to choose the languages from inside Samsung's keyboard settings. That's the only way that it will work. And then once you're back inside Samsung Notes, you can then set your main recognition language, so English for example, to use the convert to text feature, so with one press it can translate your entire note. Or you can choose the selection mode to extract text from a particular area in another language. So in this demonstration I have English, Spanish, French, and Japanese, and it actually converts my handwriting to text very well. And then when you're done, you can share these in a variety of different file formats such as PDF and Word documents. And then when you're done using the pen, you just slide it into the phone, and a 6-minute charge will give you a whopping 11 hours of use, along with 10 hours of standby time, just in case you forget to put the pen back inside. So your S Pen dying is not something that I would worry about. And since I am coming from the OnePlus 7 Pro, I kind of wanted to replicate that experience a little bit. So I just went ahead and installed Nova Launcher, and then enabled the double tap to lock and wake the device, as well as the swipe down for screenshots. And it's especially useful since the power button is now gone from the right side, and that's just something I'm just never gonna get used to. Not really a big fan of that design change at all. And I'll leave more details down below in the comment section as to how I did this. Now, what I wasn't able to replicate was the speed of the OnePlus 7 Pro's fingerprint scanner, because the Note 10 scanner is considerably slower, but it's actually gotten much better from the Galaxy S10. It takes about a half a second to unlock, but the success rate has pretty much been 100%. It works every single time. Now, I haven't really had any problems with it. Just make sure you take off that included screen protector that comes with the phone, and you'll be straight. I thought I would miss the smoothness of the 90Hz display on the OnePlus 7 Pro when coming to the 60Hz display on the Galaxy Note 10, but I actually didn't miss it as much as some other people claim they did. Yes, the OnePlus 7 Pro might be nicer, but it's just not a deal breaker for me at this very moment. Maybe I'll change my mind next month, who knows. Now, when it comes to the screen, 6.8 inches at this point, this has to be the limit. This phone is just too big for me. It's almost unusable as a one-handed device. Yeah, and I'm not really a big fan of the square form factor as well. Feels like a mini movie theater in my hand, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because as we know, Samsung has pretty much the best displays. So watching movies, shows, videos, pictures, everything looks gorgeous, nice and bright, colorful, sharp. So if size is something that concerns you as well, I would definitely recommend getting the smaller 6.3-inch Galaxy Note 10. Now, when it came to the camera hole, some apps like Netflix hide the camera hole just fine. I wish all apps do that, but they don't. So on YouTube, for example, if you're watching 16:9 content and you want to stretch it out full screen, you're going to see the hole. So it's best to just keep that kind of content unstretched. And if you're watching a video like this with a 2:1 aspect ratio, you're going to see half the hole showing to your left. So yeah, it is a little bit of an eyesore, but hopefully come 2020, camera holes will be a thing of the past. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of feel like the speakers just don't sound as good as they used to. And it makes sense because of how thin the display is. They had to compromise and they used a tiny speaker up top versus the grill that we had before up front. It just doesn't fit anymore. I mean, I had no problems during phone calls. It's still clear and everything, but I just noticed that it just doesn't sound as rich as it did before when watching videos or listening to music. Now, let's talk about where some of the best improvements are with this phone feature-wise, and that is with the camera. So spec-wise, the cameras are pretty identical to the Galaxy S10 Plus, with the telephoto lens being a slight bit faster at f2.1. Aside from that, you can expect the same high-resolution photos and 4K videos that comes with these Samsung phones. So in addition to that, Samsung gave us these pro-grade features to help improve the overall production capabilities of this phone, with the variety of new camera features and the ability to edit and share those videos right from the phone itself. So starting with the live focus video, this is a big step from just a regular live focus photos by adding a fake blur to your videos in real time. And for my little testing, it did a pretty good job. Every now and then it struggles with hair as expected, and a trained eye will probably be able to tell that the blur is fake, but it's still impressive to say the least because that's quite a bit of processing that's going on. And if you want, you can replace that blur effect with a more artistic effect, or if you want the color point effect, which I think looks pretty hot, whatever suits your taste, and they all perform pretty well in daylight. And then when you're using steady shot, it does exactly what it sounds like. It's a built-in video stabilizer that will help smooth out your recordings and reduce the lens blur and shake. So I did a small test running up the subway steps, and it stabilized it pretty well considering how much I was actually moving in real life. I was pretty much like jumping from step to step. Now, the only drawback when using all of these video effects is that they're not supported when you're recording in 4K. It's only limited to 1080p, which kind of sucks. So while you can get creative shots, they're going to be low quality creative shots. So that's something to keep in mind before you become a pro using this camera. I will say the zoom in mic feature is probably one of my favorite features, and it's supported while recording in 4K. So basically, as you zoom in and out of video, switching between the cameras, it increases and decreases the volume of the subject that you're recording. So obviously this is very practical for concerts, live speeches, and you know, sometimes Samsung gives us gimmicky features and sometimes they give us practical ones like this. Now that brings me to the next feature, which is AR Doodle, and I actually thought this would be a gimmick, but I actually found it to be useful and a lot of fun. And one of the best use cases I found for this is, let's say you want to help out a family or friend fix something, you can easily just annotate a live video, record it, and then send it on over to them, and voila, you don't have to pay the visit to go and fix something. Now, when you're done taking all of your fancy videos with AR Doodle, steady shot, and live focus video, you can edit them into one by using built-in video editor that comes with the Galaxy Note 10. So you can use cuts, simple transitions, titles, captions, add music. You can draw on your videos, add different filters and stickers, and even change the speed of your clips as well. But I'm just not sold on this whole idea of video editing on a phone or a tablet. I mean, that these devices will replace a laptop. We are not there yet. We have a long way to go, and good editing requires a lot more than just dragging and dropping. But I will say that I think this would be great for simple vlogs or any other simple kind of edits like slideshow videos. Obviously, a device like this would be perfect for that. And lastly, I was pretty impressed with the 3D scanner app. It's not built into the camera app. It's actually a separate app you have to get from the Galaxy Store. But once you get it, you simply just open it and then you scan any object you want in 360. But the only thing is, for this to work, you need to have exceptional lighting, and that needs to be like the only object in the scene. Objects with a lot of contrast and defined curves and corners, those seem to work best for my testing. And once the models are complete, you can open them up using apps like Mesh Labs or FreeCAD to read the file. And then if you have a 3D scanner at home, you can then take those models and then make copies of the very objects that you scanned in real life. And to me, that's just crazy how a feature like that is that sophisticated on a flagship phone, and to think it's only going to get better over time. Lastly, I want to talk about the battery. So the Note 10's battery features super fast charging, and out the box, you're going to get a 25-watt charger, which charges this phone stupid fast, but it's actually capable of 45 watts, which you actually have to buy separate from the Samsung store at $50. So that's really expensive. But with the included 25-watt charger, I mean, you could really just plug this in and stare at it. If you just stand by the phone for a couple minutes, you'll literally see it increasing about 1.5% every minute. And this is the first time where I would actually consider plugging in my phone over using a wireless charger, because I can just set this to charge when I'm showering or eating and then come back to pretty much an almost full charge. And for me, I think Samsung delivered with the Galaxy Note 10 when we consider what this phone is actually about, which is the S Pen. They mastered the stylus experience, and all of the camera's pro-grade features are a step in the right direction and will improve over time. As always, if you found this video to be helpful and I answered most of your questions, let me know by showing some love to that like button. And if you haven't done so already and you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on those alerts. This way YouTube notifies you whenever I drop another awesome tech video. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.